Okay, we'll start with this. The latest as it pertains to what is supposed to be the Alicia Baumgardner versus Delphine Persoon fight from the desk of Mauricio Suleiman himself. Done. Baumgardner versus Persoon will be promoted by Global Combat Collective LLC with a bid of $500,000 US, $50,000 of which will go to the winner of the fight as a WBC special bonus, and the 90% will be divided 70-30 in favor of the champion Baumgardner.
That means that Alicia Baumgardner gets $365,000 if she wins.
Delphine gets $185,000 if she wins.
That's with the $50,000 bonus.
One may be left to wonder, did Matchroom even bid on the fight? And they did, but they got beat out by this Global Combat Collective, Global Combat Alliance, whatever it is. Alicia Baumgardner didn't seem too broken up about it. She reacted publicly on her social media. Who the hell is the Global Combat Collective?
Who are these people?
I remember when Delphine Persoon fought Elham Mekhaled over there in Dubai, I think it was, under the Global Titans banner. Did they rebrand themselves? Did Global Titans go from being the Global Titans to the Global Combat Collective? That was on the undercard of Floyd Mayweather's exhibition match with his old sparring partner, Don Moore.
Delphine Persoon fought Elham Mekhaled on the undercard under the Global Titans banner.
Is this the same group as that group, and does that mean that Baumgardner versus Persoon is going to land in Dubai? That's just me bouncing ideas around. That's just me brainstorming. This is an excellent fight, irrespective of who's promoting it, though who's promoting it is important because that determines which platform carries the show. That if Matchroom would have won the bid for the fight, well, then the fight would be shown on DAZN. But because this Global Combat Collective group won the rights,
who's going to air the fight?
Is it going to be billed as a pay-per-view? A moderately priced pay-per-view, but still a pay-per-view of some kind. Is it part of another show, perhaps a bigger one? Or will this be the main event? They paid a hefty price to get the rights to this thing, $500,000.
Why is Matchroom always losing purse bids?
Well, you can reverse engineer how we got here based on Global Combat Collective's bid. That if the winning bid was $500,000, that has to mean that Matchroom priced the fight somewhere under that.
You're gonna lose the purse bid to some nobody outfit, some unknown promoter?
Well, it's not that Matchroom doesn't have money, it's that they're not gonna overpay.
They have money.
It's like what we saw in the Raymond Ford versus Kolmatov fight. Sure, they could pay an arm and a leg to do that show. Overpay. Pay in excess of the commercial value of the show.
You might lose money.
And he might lose the fight. So, for doing that, you bid a modest amount of money, and if somebody else wins, if somebody else gets the rights to the fight,
you're not on the hook.
Raymond Ford ended up winning the fight anyway, and he ended up winning the fight on Top Rank's dollar, on their dime, because it happened on their side of things. So it all worked out for Matchroom in the end. The same may apply here.
You could give Alicia reasonable odds to win this fight.
Said it before, and I'll say it again. Here and now, Delphine Persoon, in spite of all her experiences and the devastating puncher that she has been, she's getting up there in age. She's getting long in the tooth. Physically,
I actually think Alicia has more single punching power than Delphine.
I think she's faster and sharper at this point, more athletic than Delphine, even if Delphine has a stylistic advantage.
There's something there to overcome.
Delphine is dangerous and devastating, but not defensible. She can be caught coming in. She can be caught with hard shots, and Alicia Baumgardner has the speed, the sharpness, and the accuracy to do it, where it becomes a contest.
Because Delphine Persoon's got a chin, and Delphine Persoon's got an engine. She's not going to crumble off the first hard punch that lands.
So Alicia is going to have to keep it up and keep it on her as the fight progresses, because Delphine is a volume puncher. She likes to throw punches in bunches, where Alicia is more of a sharpshooter. She's more economic.
It's definitely a contest. It's definitely a fight, a dangerous one for both, but I am leaning towards the youth and freshness, speed and power of Alicia Baumgardner.
It's a winnable fight for Alicia. I think she's going to have to work for it, but I think she can do it. I believe she can win. The caveat is, it's not a Matchroom show. Alicia, in spite of being the reigning and defending undisputed champion, she's going to be the away fighter in this thing. Small margin for error if the rounds are close, if the fight is close, and you could swing it either way. They may not swing it Alicia's way, so she's got to win decisively.
There is no home field advantage, and you're not the house fighter.
In spite of the circumstances, Alicia doesn't seem broken up about it. She's going to make some money, more money than she would have made had Matchroom won the rights to the show, because you have to remember, since this Global Combat Alliance priced the fight at a bigger dollar amount than Matchroom, she directly benefits from that. She ends up getting more money.
Me get $1.
She gets the lion's share either way because she's the defending champion, though, because this Global Combat Alliance thought the fight was worth more than Matchroom did. She's the beneficiary.
Now we just have to see who's going to carry it.
On what platform will it land and when? We'll talk more about the fight as the fight date approaches. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran boxing scribe Dake Jonovan says multiple sources have informed Ring Magazine that Top Rank has signed unbeaten 130-pound prospect DJ Demlar the War Machine Zamoria. Top Rank debut for 20-year-old Vegas-based Southpaw expected mid-spring. Previous 4 fights were on PBC shows.
Another fighter that's jumping ship.
Well, isn't this what I told you would happen? On repeat, last year, isn't this what I told you would start to see as a result of limited fight dates and limited resources at the PBC? This Demlar guy, he's not the only guy that's jumping ship. Michel Rivera
Of the Dominican Republic.
he just signed to Dimitri Salita Promotions, who have a broadcast deal with DAZN.
Fighters are jumping ship.
Those faithful to Al Heyman and the filth of the PBC may be telling themselves, well, these fighters are not important fighters or important to the PBC's bottom line. But if the hope is to land a broadcast deal
With a Netflix or somebody else.
you're going to need a stable. You're going to need fighters to bring over. And if you're losing fighters...
These people just don't like admitting when they're wrong.
Boxing insider Rick Glacier said the PBC has lost another TV fighter. 140-pound contender Michel Rivera has left the once mighty and now floundering PBC to sign with Michigan-based Salita Promotions. Add Rivera to the ever-growing list of fighters that have left the PBC.
Just what I told you would happen.
People actually get angry at me for saying it. They get angry at me for pointing out what's happening and what's going to happen, because they'd rather...
They want to keep believing that Al Heyman is the Wizard of Oz.
Prodigal father syndrome is the best way to describe it, even if these individuals have not been clinically diagnosed. They view Al Heyman as their prodigal father. They view themselves as his prodigal sons. They have this love affair with this guy and the idea of him, that he's got the Midas touch, and everything he touches turns into gold.
Turns into shit.
Fight Hub's Marcos Villegas recently tweeted, okay, the man, Rolly, has requested an interview with us. Pay attention to that it's Rolly that reached out to them. It's Rolly that requested an interview.
Why is that important?
They're doing the rounds on popular social media accounts, popular YouTube channels that have a lot of subscribers as their arm of promotion in the absence of Amazon's arm of promotion. What was supposed to be the marketing arm, all those 200 million or 260 million subscribers Prime has.
Amazon is not promoting this fight. They're not marketing it. There are no ads.
What fight?
The Zoo versus Thurman fight.
It's a little over 2 weeks away, and I've been paying attention, seeing these PBC fighters do the rounds on Marcos Villegas' channel, Boxing Ego's channel, Pheno Boxing.
What are they doing?
They're taking it to the streets. That's what they're doing, because the marketing arm of Amazon hasn't been doing any marketing at all. There have been no commercials, no banners, no ads to help promote this show that is happening on that platform. And the whole virtue was, you go to Amazon because so many people have it. But if Amazon is not helping you sell this fight, then what's the goddamn point?
If they're not helping you raise awareness for this show so that you can sell it, so then you can make money, then why'd you even go over there?
You should have went to DAZN.
Now you're reduced to using YouTube channels as the marketing arm, the promotional arm for your upcoming card. What is your first card on the Amazon Prime platform?
And listen, it's not a bad idea. One of the perks of being a boxing fan as opposed to some other kind of sports fan is the boxing experience here today is a more interactive experience than it used to be in previous eras. In this era, a content creator can gain access to the fighters and the people in boxing more easily.
It's cost feasible too.
You are essentially speaking directly to your target audience on a Boxing Ego, on a Pheno Boxing, or a Fight Hub, because these are boxing channels that are tailored towards boxing fans. So it does make sense, and it is cost feasible because it doesn't cost you nothing.
They're helping you to promote your upcoming show at no expense to you. It makes sense and it's smart,
But it's also a survival tactic, an act of desperation. Don't mistake it for anything else. When you're in bed with a streaming giant like a Prime Video, is this what you should have to resort to? Why isn't Prime helping you sell this thing?
Which one of these YouTube channels has more subscribers than Prime? Which one of these YouTube channels has as big a marketing arm as Amazon Prime? Which one?
Because the virtue of jumping into bed was Amazon Prime was its reach. How many American households and just how many households overall it can reach if it's the distributor for PBC shows. They don't seem to be reaching anyone.
Broly said he was going to be an Amazon superstar. How's that going to happen if Amazon isn't promoting his fight?
You don't like when I do this stuff. I know you don't, but what do you expect me to do? Do you want me to tell you pretty lies about what's going on?
I told you fighters were going to start to leave, and they did. They're still leaving.
I told you that they have limited fight dates and limited resources. I told you that this Amazon deal looks to be little more than just a distribution deal. They're non-committal. They're not making the same commitment to the PBC that Fox once made, or Showtime. This is a different deal structure.
So when it turns out that I'm right, what do you want me to do? Pretend that I was wrong so that you can feel better?
Fuck you.
And your fragile fucking ego, and your love affair with Al Heyman and the PBC.
Fuck you.
And fuck them.
You think they're doing me and you a favor by putting a fight like this, a card like this behind a paywall when we're getting just as good, if not better cards for way less with their competition?
Am I supposed to be loyal to Al Heyman or something? What do you got going on?
Are you loyal to Al Heyman? Do you work for him? Does he pay bills in your house?
Huh?
This love affair with Al Heyman, what it is a remnant of the Mayweather era that is now over.
That's how people came to know who Al Heyman is.
His association with Floyd Mayweather and the predication that because Floyd was so wildly successful, Al Heyman would have that same success with other endeavors and other fighters. That is not the case.
At some point, you're just gonna have to accept that.
Because I'm not gonna lie for you, or him.
Eliminatoria final, y de ahí queda como marzo el momento en que él es retador oficial.
Ok.
O sea, estamos en este mes. Antes de llegar a este mes, hubo pláticas con todas las partes y finalmente Benavidez firma para pelear en 175 en junio. Canelo pelea el 4 de mayo contra Munguía. Entonces, la posición exacta como está el día de hoy, Benavidez es retador oficial en peso supermedio. Se le ha dado la oportunidad de pelear por el título interino y eliminatoria final en 175 en semicompleto. Después de su pelea del 15 de junio, él decidirá qué división él prefiere para seguir su carrera y será retador oficial de una o de la otra. Pero antes del 15 de junio y antes de ver que gane su pelea, no podemos especular en ningún sentido, pero sí es retador oficial en este momento y el 15 de junio veremos si gana el derecho también en la otra división.
What Mauricio Suleiman communicated to the esteemed boxing scribe Ernesto Amador
El amador del boxeo.
is that Team Benavidez asked for an interim title shot at 175 right before March. He said they asked before the mandatory was activated in March. He also states if he beats the 175-pound opponent, David can decide which route he wants to take, 168 or 175. What's interesting is that before we even got here, David was charting a course to light heavyweight.
Before he was ratified as Canelo's official mandatory challenger.
You can make of that what you will, because I do. I'm not convinced that Samson Lukowicz and Team Benavidez, I'm really not convinced that they ever wanted this fight and that Al Heyman ever wanted to make it, because when he made Canelo Alvarez that 3-fight deal last year, David wasn't a part of it.
He wasn't.
You want to chart a course to 175 pounds now?
Go ahead.
But you have a choice. If you take care of business with Alexander Gvozdyk at 175, you have a choice to stay interim champion up there or go back down to 168 and see if you can't get that Canelo Alvarez fight. And when it comes to that fight, well, I never thought that was going to be Canelo Alvarez's next fight. I never thought Canelo was going to fight him in May. I figured if Canelo's going to fight David, it'll be in September.
You can come back down in September.
David Benavidez said he didn't want to cross the street for Canelo Alvarez, that if push came to shove and he had to go to a different promotional outfit, to a different platform to do it, he didn't want to do it because of how well Al Heyman's been paying him.
Eddie Hearn said that they're not trying to lock him down to a multi-fight deal. They can make it a one-off. No strings attached.
So, did he ever really want this fight? Does he really want it? Or was it a marketing angle he was after all this time? Not dissimilar from what we saw with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Anthony made several lucrative offers to this fighter, all of which he turned down, each one bigger than the last.
To his detriment, because all that got him was a one-sided beating at the hands of Tyson Fury.
The Fury fights, never represented a greater financial value to Wilder than the Joshua fight, but the Fury fight is the one he kept going for.
Then what was he really after?
Seems to me what he was really after and what he really wanted, him and his team, was a marketing angle to sell his own fights independent of an Anthony Joshua fight. And the same might be true here when it comes to David. We'll see if he comes down.
We'll see if he wins in June 15th. That's when Mauricio says his fight with Alexander's going down.
We'll see if he comes down. We'll see if he comes back down to 168. If he does, I think Canelo Alvarez stands a good chance of not only beating him, but maybe stopping him.
David spent a long time at super middleweight, perhaps too long, and I think at this point, it's hard for him to make.
So he's going up to 175. The whole time he was at 168. You tell me what punchers, what heavy-handed fighters did he ever fight? Near as I can tell, you guys are high on him for pouncing on light
punches and naturally smaller opponents. That what he's basically been doing is outsizing guys.
The only time I can remember David fighting a puncher of any substance, a halfway decent puncher, was Ronald Gavril, and he needed 2 fights with Ronald for 1 decisive win.
Got knocked down in the process.
Got chinned. Coincidentally, Dimitri Bivol, who sparred David Benavidez and fought Canelo Alvarez, said that Canelo is actually a harder puncher than David.
Even though he's older and smaller.
Entirely possible because Canelo Alvarez has competed at a higher, much higher level than David Benavidez, and what David has basically been doing is throwing arm punches while outsizing his opponents.
You're saying Canelo punches harder than David.
I'm not saying that. Dimitri Bivol said that. I just agree with him, and if you need evidence, well, why did Canelo knock out Caleb and David didn't? Even though David fought him after Canelo knocked him out.
David's bigger and younger. He couldn't knock him out. He couldn't even knock him down.
Let him go up to 175. If he wins, see if he drops back down, because if he does drop back down, he could lose something on the way down.
Fighter that's struggling to make a weight, punch resistance suffers for it. Durability suffers for it.
And Canelo would be the biggest and the most accomplished fighter David will have ever faced.
Emphasis on biggest puncher.
Who the fuck has he ever fought that had any kind of firepower?
That matters.